Okay, imagine this for a second. What if the single biggest breakthrough in human history was just announced? And, well, nobody cared. That's pretty much the question we're tackling today. See, an ex-Googler just claimed his company built the world's very first artificial general intelligence. I mean, that's supposed to be front page news, right? Something that completely shakes up the world of tech. So, why wasn't it?
So here's the claim, straight from the source. This is a tweet from Jod Tafari, the CEO of Integral AI. And, this isn't just some random guy. He was a pioneer on Google's early generative AI teams. He's not just saying, hey, we made an improvement. Nope. He's declaring a full-on paradigm shift, the world's first AGI-capable model. So you gotta ask, where are the headlines?
Well, here's why. That world-changing tweet had just 565 views. Yeah, you heard me right. 565. That's it. A claim like this should absolutely break the internet, but instead, it was more like a tiny little splash. And that, right there, raises a massive question.
So what's going on here? Did everyone just miss the biggest story in the history of AI? Or is there a really good reason why the community is being so quiet about this? To get to the bottom of it, we've got to dig into what exactly Integral AI claims they've built. All right, so first up, let's just look at their argument from their perspective. Integral AI kicks things off by pointing out what they believe are some really big, fundamental problems with the AI we have today. Basically, they're saying that current models, like the big LLMs we all know, are kind of like black boxes. You don't really know what's going on inside. They say these models confuse just memorizing tons of data with actually understanding it. They depend on this brute force, super inefficient way of computing things, and they're brittle. They can fall apart pretty easily when they see something new. It's a pretty sharp critique, and that's the exact problem they're saying they've solved. And their solution? Well, it's a totally different way of building the thing, a huge shift in architecture. Instead of just, mapping an input to an output, their model is designed to build these layers of understanding, these structured pictures of reality. And they say this whole approach is modeled on how our own brains work, specifically the neocortex. Okay, and this part is really, really important. They know the term AGI is, well, it's a loaded term, right? A lot of people have a lot of different ideas about what it means. So they give their own very specific, rigorous definition. They're not just tossing the acronym around for hype. They're setting up the goalposts and then claiming they scored. So what are their conditions? There are 3 of them. First, the model has to learn all by itself, kind of like a human does, without needing these giant pre-existing data sets. Second, it has to learn safely. No weird side effects, no catastrophic failures. And third, it has to be energy efficient. None of this massive power guzzling we see with current systems. I mean, that is a very high bar, and they're claiming they've cleared it. Okay, so that's the theory, right? That's the big claim. But talk is cheap. What have they actually shown everyone? Let's take a look at the evidence they've put out there. They've released a few key demos. All right, first demo. They drop their AI agent into a 3D environment it's never seen before. There's no map, no instructions. It's just there. And its only goal is to figure out the space around it. Now, the key here is that the agent isn't just bumping into walls randomly. It's actually trying to predict what's next to decide where to explore. It's actively learning as it goes to get a better sense of things, and it's weighing different possible paths in its mind to solve a problem, like, say, finding a certain object. Now, their second demo is super interesting because it's based on how your own eyes work. Think about it. You don't scan a room smoothly like a video camera, right? Your eyes make these little, super fast, jumpy movements. They're called saccades, and they're all about zeroing in on the most important bits of information. And this AI, well, it tries to do the exact same thing. And that's exactly what you see the AI doing here. If it needs to know if a person is smiling, boom, it uncovers the eyes and the mouth. If it needs to figure out the background color, it starts checking the edges. It's all about being efficient, building a whole picture from just a few key pieces of information. Okay, for their last demo, they use a classic puzzle game called Sokoban. You might have seen it, but here's the thing. The goal isn't just to show that the AI can solve it. The real point is to show how the AI learns to solve it better and better over time. And this is where they make a really big claim about human-like learning. It's this idea of transitioning from what psychologists call System 2 thinking, that's your slow, deliberate, step-by-step problem solving, to System 1 thinking, which is fast, automatic, almost like intuition. Think about learning to drive a car. At first, every move is conscious. Later, it's just automatic. They're saying the AI does this. It's not just solving the puzzle anymore. It's developing an instinct for the right moves, just like a human pro would.
So, okay, the demos are definitely interesting conceptually. They seem to show an AI that learns in a totally new way. But this brings us right back to that big mystery we started with. If this is really AGI, why is the research community so quiet? Well, it turns out there are some pretty big red flags. And here's the absolute bottom line. Science works because of verification. People have to be able to check your work. But in this case, there's nothing to check. There's no scientific paper for other researchers to review. There's no code for them to look at. There's literally no way for anyone else to independently test these claims. Plus, they basically created their own definition of AGI and then gave themselves a gold medal. And to top it all off, a lot of experts are looking at these demos and thinking, for a world-changing AGI, this doesn't actually look all that impressive. Just to put this all into perspective, let's compare what they did to a similar project from DeepMind way back in 2017. DeepMind also worked on solving these Sokoban puzzles. But what did they do? They submitted their work for peer review, they released their code, they let other people verify their results. Integral AI has done none of that. And that, right there, is why a claim as massive as AGI is being met with, well, a whole lot of skepticism.
So this really gets us to the heart of the matter. We have to be able to separate the ideas, the theory, from the actual unproven claims of success. And look, on paper, their core ideas are actually pretty compelling. They're talking about a big architectural shift towards abstraction, a new way for AIs to learn interactively and improve themselves, and a built-in method for safety. And you know what? A lot of researchers would probably agree that these are all really important things to be working on in AI. And really, that's the bottom line here. The ideas themselves, they're interesting, maybe even groundbreaking. But in the world of science, ideas aren't the same as results. Without proof, without peer review, a claim about achieving AGI is, well, it's just a claim. And this stuff matters, because while a real AGI would change the world, this kind of unproven hype can just end up confusing people and sending researchers down the wrong path. So where does that leave us? We're stuck with this big question. Is this a revolutionary breakthrough that's just waiting for the proof to catch up? Or is it a cautionary tale about hype in a field that's moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour? You know, the line between being a visionary and just being a promoter can be incredibly thin. And for now, it seems like the entire AI community is just waiting for the evidence so they can figure out which side of that line integral AI is really on.